Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Inductive Study. We've been in Ecclesiastes for a little while now, and I have finally just completed step 4. Well, not the whole thing, just 4a. It was extremely time consuming and it was beautiful, and I want to go over how I did that. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning into my channel, please look for Inductive Study Session 1 on Ecclesiastes so that you are up to date in what you need to do. You will need a few supplies. You will need index cards. You all know I love my index card system, color pencils, and an Inductive Study Bible. You can get this one, or they have a hardcover one. Also today, you're gonna need it doesn't matter which one, any Daily Grace book that you have. If you don't have it, you can find this information online, and I will definitely show you the inside and what we need for today's step. Let's dive in. Okay, so step 4a says, look at every reference to God that you marked in the text. In your notebook, list all you learn about him, what he does, and what we are to do in respect to him. Now, this little bit took me a while to really dive into and get a handle of. So in our keywords, we had to look for God. And this was the symbol that the Inductive Study community uses, so I kept it the same. And so on every page where we see God, we had to say who he was, right? And I created a little cheat sheet for myself because I had a hard time seeing who God was. And so first I would write out the man-human perspective of who God is. What is he doing? And you'll see that he was being wise, right? Sit with that for a little bit and then look up a God-only attribute and apply it or add it to scripture. So Daily Grace has an attributes of God study. It is absolutely incredible. It's an amazing blessing. Even if you know the attributes of God, it's something you should definitely look into to dig deeper. But in all of their books, it doesn't matter which one, it has the attributes of God in it. Okay? It literally lists all of them here. Now, I highly recommend this study. And I'm going to pull it up on my iPad for you all so you guys can see it. Because there's something that has been transformative for me with this study. And there are a few things you need to do when you do this study too. So you can do their study online. Okay, and it has each week, it has each week what their study is about. Now, when we get to a day, we have all the scripture we need to read. And I found it very overwhelming at first having to flip through my Bible to read all of the scripture because this one has 4 of them for the first day. But what I realized is by going to the app and doing it this way, I'm able to grab characteristics of this attribute from here. So I would write keywords down as I'm reading here, and then I would go in and do my reading and do the whole little workbook. And it's not a lot. It's a little bit of reading, which is really nice, but it gives you a better understanding of what the word eternal means. And they have this for all of the attributes of God. So you'll see, I didn't check it yet, but I just finished the incomprehensible and transcended. That's where I'm at right now, and I still have some ways to go. But what's beautiful is that we can look at all of Scripture in the same spot to see what transcendent means and dig deeper because we have all this information here. Based off of this and their little overview that they have, which is in all of their books, that is how I've been able to go through and identify who God is throughout Ecclesiastes. And one of my goals for 2025 is to do exactly that. So I had my little index card here so I could see it. And then I always had a daily grace study with me just so I could reference it, because I'm not done. And I like having a little cheat sheet to look at things. And I would go through. Now, I put this little heartbeat, and this is just telling me this is who God is in this moment. I felt really led to use this symbol, and when you first start out, like, it's a little hard. I had to go back over this again a second time, but the more you do it, the more you're able to identify who God is. And so I've been kind of stuck because I don't know if I wanted to finish my whole attributes of God study before I moved on to B, but I also decided that I'm just going to move on to B, and I can always come back to A. When I'm done with the next few steps, now I'm going to combine steps B and C. B says, mark the contrasting groups of people, the righteous and the wicked, the wise and the foolish, in your notebook. And then the next one says, also make a list of what you learn about riches and labor. So because we've been doing an index card system this whole time, we actually already have those that we've started to fill in. And they're all right here. So these are from early on when we were focusing on our keywords, right? And so as something stood out, I would write it on here. Sometimes I would just write it word for word. Other times I would summarize it in my own, vocabulary. But what's so beautiful about having this already situated is that you could pull the ones that you want together. And you could just focus on these as you read, just these, 6 topics, and you could see what connections are made. And that's why I like using this over a notebook. I'm also going to add it into my Bible Nexus when I'm all said and done. But it really helps me stay focused on what I need to focus on, but it also gives me a visual because I can move it around. Because as much as they say to compare, the wise and the foolish, right? What if there's a connection between the wise, the foolish, the righteous, and the wicked? And for me, this is an easier way to have it all laid out, to compare it all. So that's what I will be doing for those 2 parts, is I will just be utilizing these cards to their fullest extent. And as you continue to study, this little pile continues to grow. I'm using pure blank ones because the ones that are written on were not part of inductive study. And so I want to differentiate between the 2. So if you're like, Melissa, why the blank cards? And I also write up and down, right? Instead of, vertical. So I know where to go for any of these notes. After we're done with that, we have to summarize what we learned from all these lists. And then we have to say what the theme of each chapter is. Now that is why these chapter headings are blank, is because you have to title them yourself. I have no room there. It's all right. And then in the back of Ecclesiastes, you will fill it in here, like I did here in Proverbs. But something different with Ecclesiastes is that when you're done with all of that, they have these questions that you're going to have to dive into. So if you remember in my earlier videos, I was having such a hard time with vanity. What did this word mean? And it was right here the whole time on this page, but God illuminated it for me. And I was able to dig into it and really have a better understanding because I trusted the process. I know I could look it up online, and it's right here on the next page, which I never even read. But now that I have a different understanding, I'm curious how transformative this is going to be when I start digging deeper about vanity and seeing exactly what God is, saying in Ecclesiastes about it. So that is how I will be continuing my little study. when I'm done with part 4 and 5, maybe just part 4, this step here, I will definitely post a little review, and we'll just keep going. I don't think, look, one I already gave a title to, which is funny. The Power of the Mouth. So, I'm just looking to see that I did it all. Which, it looks pretty done, if you ask me. If this video was helpful for you today, for your inductive study, or just in general looking at attributes of God, please hit the like button down below and feel free to share with a few of your friends. I will be making a video about good notes and my prayer Bible or journal. It's not a Bible. I misspoke. And a few other things about what we're doing in 2025, Bloom in the Word, what I'm studying, and all the exciting things for 2025. It's going to be a great year. So make sure you hit the subscribe button. And I will see you all very soon. Have a great day, everyone.